So, part of the whole press conference that he did yesterday, he announced through tens of millions of children will be receiving up to $1,000 each funded by a donation from billionaire Michael Dell and seed money from the Trump administration. Dell has donated $6.25 billion towards the effort. At 18, Americans will then gain access to the account, which will have been invested since their birth and ideally have multiplied in that time. Dell's donation will cover children up under 10 and zip codes with average incomes of 150,000 or less. This is a great way to give young Americans a leg up. They're called Trump accounts, and they'll begin on America's 250th birthday, July 4th, 2026. So let's listen to the Orange Man himself speak before I give my opinions.
Today is Giving Tuesday. I don't know if anybody's heard that one before, but it is indeed Giving Tuesday. One of the biggest days of the year for philanthropy and charitable giving. And this afternoon, Michael and Susan Dell are committing to one of the largest private donations in American history, which will directly benefit the next generation of American children through the new Trump Accounts program that we created in our One Big Beautiful Bill. And Michael and Susan came to see me along with Brad, and they said, this is an idea. And I said, I think, it sounded just so good and so unique. But that's why he's been so successful, and they've been so successful in life and in business because they're unique. Trump Accounts will be the first, I guess you could say, real trust funds for every American child, allowing family members, employers, corporations, generous donors to contribute money that will be invested and grow over the course of a child's life to be used for their benefit after they turn 18. So in other words, these are children that are going to, an investment's going to be made. That investment's going to continue to grow, we hope, right? We hope. And, but it will. And they'll feel like Michael Dell someday. But at 18, they'll have a lot of money, a lot more money than they would have had, and potentially a lot of money. But these accounts will track the overall stock market and will be 100% private property controlled by the child's guardians. In honor of America's 250th anniversary, the Dells are announcing today that they are giving 25 million American children $250 each to save and to invest in their personal Trump account. Now that's the equivalent of $6.25 billion. In other words, to put it succinctly, Michael and Susan are giving $6.25 billion in total, and as a total contribution. That's big stuff. I don't care who you.
Did he say million or billion? Because I thought the text said billion. There's a difference.
$6.25
billion. My apologies.
$million in total, and as a total contribution. That's big stuff. I don't care who you are. These gifts will be available to the first 25 million children aged 10 and under the zip codes where their median income is $150,000 or less.
Okay, I'm going to repeat that last section there once again.
It's fantastic, Susan. These gifts will be available to the first 25 million children aged
25 million children. Okay, I'm actually not a fan of this. If America was a majority white country like it used to be back in the day, like it should be, I would not be completely against this. Because this is not like coming from taxpayers. This is supposed to be a donation. Though obviously the donation comes with strings, so I'm concerned about that. It would be a good way to actually invest into the American youth, actual real Americans. And once again, it's not through taxpaying dollars. As some of you said in chat, it's like a replacement for Social Security, possibly. Like, it's not a bad idea, I feel like. But the problem is the first 25 million children, which is not a lot, actually. And it's for incomes, zip codes with average incomes of 150,000 or less. This is going to be for the blacks. It's going to be for the nons in general. Because while there's obviously a lot of white families that make less than 150,000, because wages are fucking abysmal these days, and with everything, it's still only the first 25 million of them, because this is a donation first. So once the first 25 million get their few, their $1,000, what's going to happen to the rest of kids? Because they're going to feel like they've been shorted. Because I'm pretty sure there's more than 25 million kids out there that live in zip codes with average incomes of 150,000 or less. So then will that be supplemented with taxpaying dollars? And once again, it's going to be for the nuns. It's just going to go for the nuns. Because the mass majority of zip codes with average incomes of $150,000 or less is going to be for nuns. And just like they do with welfare programs, with single mother support, and everything else like that, they just pop out kids like crazy. Well, they're not going to get the money until the kids turn 18. They're already popping out kids and getting a bunch of welfare as it is. And they have to already deal with the kid for another 18 years. Once they get 18, knowing how manipulative and dysfunctional and horrible these families are, they're going to demand for that money back because there's a lot of families that are like that out there. Or the kid's just going to be wasting it on shoes and guns and drugs or whatever the case is because they're nuns. Most of the money is going to be going to nuns. It's just another way to fund people that hate you. Yes, there are a lot of white families that live in zip codes with averages incomes of $150,000 or less, but the vast majority are nuns, which means more nuns are going to be populating because they're going to get more money just to do so. Single mom epidemic creates more problems. Exactly that. So if we had a majority white country like we used to have before the Hart-Celler Act, this wouldn't be such a big deal. It would actually be pretty decent. I would still have some suspicions about it because no donations for free. Michael Dell is probably going to get his dick sucked pretty well in other ways to pay off for this. But we're not a majority white country. We're at 55%. Most recent statistics have white kids in kindergarten being in the 40s now, 40%. So it's just going to be for the nuns. Rough number, 3.5 million kids a year, about 7 years. And they're all going to be nuns. Again, just white people in general, because it's about 55 for white people in general, including the boomers. But apparently the kindergarten school year is about 45% whites. Yeah, once again, we're just going to be funding people that hate us. So I'm not actually for this, frankly. And once again, my other concern is, once the billion is out, what's going to be replacing it? Taxpayer dollars? Probably.